Welcome, y'all, to the 9th episode of Jeremiah the Podcast. I am Jeremiah Alford, and as always, y'all are one beautiful audience, and thank you so much for downloading and sharing and talking about these episodes with all your friends and family and posting on social media. Y'all are amazing. Be sure to follow me on social media at Jeremiah the Insta and at Facebook on Jeremiah the Social Media. Thanks again ahead of time. Y'all are beautiful. Today we have an amazing guest, David Carr Lockwood of SCAD, which is the Savannah College of Art and Design. SCAD is also home of my friend Brittany. Shout out to you, Brittany, if you're listening to this. You are awesome. David has worked on film and television as either a writer, producer, or director. He is currently about to release a new project called Shadygrove, and so we talk a little bit about his new directing film project and all the cool things that he has been through and some cool things headed his way with his career. So very excited to share this episode with you. I know you're going to love it. Be sure to follow him at David Carr Lockwood on Instagram and all the social media, and follow him or go to his website at davidcarrlockwood.com. Again, without any further ado, we have David Carr Lockwood. And away we go.
I do listen to Joe Rogan a little bit.
Yeah, I listened to him today.
Yeah, he's really good. I kind of relate to him a little bit to his points. Yeah.
What do you like about him?
He's a little liberal. He's a little honest about some things. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't really heard a podcast like the one he does. And something that he got me onto is isolation tanks, because he did a whole podcast on isolation tanks, and I was like, I gotta see what this is about.
It looks so sick. Wait, you did one?
Yeah,
dude, that's so sick.
So one opened up in Savannah maybe 3 months ago.
What's it called?
And it's called Remedy Float.
Remedy Float.
Yeah,
right now.
And it was super weird going in there, but it was really beneficial because it was either 1 or 2 weeks before the film. Yeah. And I was like, I need something to
Shadygrove? Which film?
Shadygrove.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we did production, I was like, I need something to de-stress. I need to have just a thinking moment, you know. And I got into the tank, and I kind of it was kind of like you're in your mind with your thoughts, and the tank's supposed to remove you from all these sensory experiences when all the thoughts in your head and the sounds of everything going by. Yep. We live in a very busy world that is constantly bombarding us with all these audio,
stimuli.
Yeah. And so when you get in there, it's like you have to even detach from your own mind, and then once you're not thinking at all and just being present, you just feel like you hit the reset button. Yeah. And it's a very peaceful thing. It's because I try and meditate a little bit. Yeah. But in my home, and when I try and meditate, there's always these cars going by and everything like that. And I try and do it right before I go to bed. Mm-hmm. So I usually either meditate before bed, or I read a book. Yeah. Or have a daily reading. And I feel like every single time I try and meditate at home, I always have these moments where I get into it for a minute, and then it just the car goes by. I'm like, now I'm thinking about the car. It's a very, very I don't know.
And when it catches your attention, you just spot onto it.
Right.
With what's it called? What'd you call it again?
Isolation tank.
It is isolation tank. Yeah. Okay. Was it set up where you just get into a tub or something like that, or?
Yeah, they have 1,000 pounds of salt, iodine salt, in the water, and they load the tank with that before, and there's so much salt in the water that it's physically impossible for you to drown in the tank. Yeah. You're always floating. So at their place, How
much is your body I'm imagining this is your upper half some unsubmerged and your lower half submerged? Are you vertical, horizontal, you laying down?
You're laying down horizontally.
Okay.
And you can I mean, there's different ways that you can, it's almost like you're going to bed or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
is that as comfortable as a bed?
After it kind of felt like a bathtub a little bit.
Okay.
But it still was a little bit different from that.
Okay.
Yeah, but in the place that I went to, that you had like a personal shower, and then you had like a personal room, and then you open the door and it's just like a square like room. There's like aluminum or some type of like fabric that's all over the wall to insulate everything, and then once you're done floating, they play this music so that you know that it's time to wrap up. And at first, when I heard the music, I was like, "Is that in my head?" I was like, or am I really hearing it? Or yeah.
Do I just constantly think about soft jazz? Is that my theme song of my life? Yeah.
And then you just get out and they drain the tank and that's it. And then they had like hot coffee afterwards and tea. So we like sat around and like talked about
the experience.
The experience, yeah.
It was like you with like one of their like I guess counselors or was employees, or was it like other people that?
It was
did
like the employees.
Okay.
They only had I think like 2 employees in there. So
okay.
Yeah.
Do you think you could fall asleep in that?
Yeah, most definitely.
I wonder if that's where they go take their nap. Like, I got to get 20 minutes. Let me hop in there. Yeah. How long did you spend in there?
Hour and a half, probably.
Hour and a half. And how did it feel like it went by? Like an hour and a half, like long time or short time? Like what was your perception of time at that point? Because I feel like I hear that you're just non-sensing anything. You're just.
Yeah. At first, the first 30 minutes. The welcoming thing about it is you can get it out of the tank at any time if you're feeling claustrophobic or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I got out of the tank after 30 minutes, and then I got back in, and then went the second time that I went in. It was a lot better.
Okay.
I felt like I tested the waters a little bit.
Yeah. And
then after it, I don't know. It was a lot more peaceful and calming.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Dude, that's so cool. With you talked about meditating and like doing your own meditation, and you talked about daily reading. What is this daily reading? Like daily affirmations type thing, or? Because I'm a big fan of those. Like,
yeah, well, I do have like my whole entire wall, like in my house is I have different walls that are filled with different motivational things, different messages, and I always have to read them because that's kind of how I realize am I following what my goals are?
Yeah.
Or stuff like that. So there's always like words of encouragement or something like that, things that I can relate to that'll help me throughout my day.
Yeah. So like what's something that you find that's helped you a lot recently?
Just I guess like I have this is a little loud.
Yeah.
I have one quote in particular that it helps with positive thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
Or redirecting of negative thoughts. Mm-hmm. So if you have any negative thoughts or anything like that, I kind of have to sit down and be like, what am I thankful for? And list.
Oh, that's so huge.
List all the things that you're thankful for, because when you at a moment where you think you have nothing, and then you say, wait, I don't have nothing. I have this in my life and this in my life and this way, and that's what I'm thankful for. You come to have this like just encyclopedia of things that are positive to your life that you have, and it just, I don't know, it puts you in a better perspective, and it puts you in a better position to think positively about how your life is going or something like that.
Oh yeah, totally.
Because self-defeating thoughts won't help you in your goals, but.
Oh yeah, totally. That's like almost like a Tony Robbins thing. I think that's the last time I heard that. But I listen to like Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy, and then like Anthony Robbins, of course. And that's something big that I remember drawing from those guys. Especially always like having like a daily sort of like motivation, or sort of like a rewashing, a reshowering of new motivation on you like constantly or every day. And so one of the big things that you needed to have motivation for was making Shadygrove.
Yeah.
Tell us about Shadygrove. What was Shadygrove? I know it's a big music project. Not music, film project. And you were the director?
Right.
Yes.
Right. All right. So I read the script maybe a year or two ago.
Yeah.
And I spent a year on the writing of it. I had, you know, like a 15 to 20 page script, and I had to reduce it down to 5 minutes. And then even after I reduced it down to 5 minutes, there was so many things that went into planning the project in the months that came. We started in January doing pre-production for it. I basically brought the script into my class, and my peers basically ripped it apart. Made sure that there wasn't any errors and that everything made sense and that there wasn't anything in there that wouldn't work. And during that first month, I started to look for my crew members and my main crew members, and I was still looking for crew members up until the shooting date, like 3 months later.
Yep.
And it was just an uphill battle to get it done. And it's basically like when other people that are in different roles in the film industry, like when it comes to like cinematographers, they'll shoot, you know, tons of projects in you know a month or so. But directors really don't do that. They focus on one project for a long period of time, and it's like they're the creative force that gets it made in the long run.
Yes.
And it's basically like The Great Gatsby, seeing the green light across the river. It's like you've got to keep chasing after it, like each month, and just have faith that it's going to work out.
Yep.
So the whole time I'm just like, is everything going to work out? I can't think of these bad thoughts. I got to like keep going, persevere in it. So after we finished the script, we did 2 video storyboards.
Okay.
Basically, we said, okay, how is this first scene in the film that's going to launch the whole story? How is it going to work? So we had stand-in actors. We filmed the whole thing. We did it twice, two different variations. Showed it to the class. Class critiqued it, and then even after we critiqued the whole thing, we changed completely what happened in the beginning again.
Yeah.
And changes were being made up until the day of the shoot, and it wasn't like we had solidified anything. But it took me a while, and we at least had 30 crew members that were both for pre-production and production and post-production.
Oh yeah.
So it really was a blessing to have so many people. I can't say that anybody, and not even myself, that all their efforts make them into who they are. I mean, everything that people become is because this person helped you or something like that.
Yeah.
And I can't say that like I'm a self-made man or anything like that, because I've had help from so many people people in the film industry and my parents and everything. And it's I don't know. But so what we did after the video storyboards is we said, okay, the scene isn't working out. We want to show this thing, and we also want to show another thing. And we wanted to focus on the main character.
Yeah.
And the first scene kind of starts off with him sitting in his car waiting for this friend that is going into this house, and he doesn't know what his friend's doing in the house, but his friend is planning to rob these people. So we were going to focus on the perspective of the main character just sitting in the car. But when we realized that it was kind of boring to just watch somebody sit in a car, we combined the ideas of saying, okay, what's happening in the car, and then what's happening in the house. So how we built the scene up is that you're seeing what's happening in the car, and then it goes back to the man in the what's happening in the house versus what's happening in the car, and there's this built tension that happens with this scene,
like a contrast of calm versus chaotic.
I watch a lot of video essays on YouTube, like Nerdwriter, and
he's so good.
Every frame of painting, and those really help me out because it goes in depth into what different things mean in films. And one of the main things that I really learned that I wanted to apply to the story is there's this thing that kind of George Lucas came up with.
There we go.
And it's meanwhile back at the ranch. So it's like if you watch Star Wars, there's like meanwhile in the Millennium Falcon, what's happening?
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like here's what's happening in the Death Star. So it's like it's going from one thing to the next and back and forth from that.
Yeah, talking about two parallel stories running alongside of each other,
Yeah.
ultimately converging to a big impactful point.
Yeah.
That's like, I don't know, love that.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't always work that way, but I think it's a very good idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, so something that I really did want to talk about is I grew up in Columbia. I grew up in South Carolina. It's a very very small town.
Yep.
It's a lot of people know each other here, and you're bound around to run into somebody that knows somebody, and it's just
That's how we met.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So I actually very early on knew I wanted to be an artist, or not exactly a filmmaker, but I knew I wanted to be an artist in some sense. When after school, when I was really young, I would go to after school art school or whatever.
Yeah.
Where it was kind of like a daycare, but it was more like you just made art.
Yeah.
And I started off with that, but me and my parents learned really young that I was dyslexic and ADHD in some sense. And nobody in my family is really creative or anything like that. Like there's nobody that I really get that trait from. And in middle school and high school, most of my schooling was done at Sandhills School in the Sandhills portion of town. Yeah, and the school is basically built around teaching people that have learning disabilities in any way, whether it be dyslexia, ADHD, or like hearing impairment or anything like that. And I kind of learned there a couple things that they taught me, and that's they taught me like multiple intelligence, that people do not just have one way of learning. Your schools teach you to you got to do good on tests. That's
Uniform.
That's the only way that you can show your smartness, and that's not true. Like people can show their traits in other ways. There's people that are like kind of athletic like you, and that's very I actually have the body kinesthetic actually.
There's like a whole like chart.
Yeah.
Can I see that?
Yeah. So
I might share that.
Yeah, there's musical. You can be musically inclined, bodily kinesthetic.
But say good luck on all those words.
Yeah. Interpersonal, verbal, linguistic, logical, mathematical, naturalistic, interpersonal, and visual spatial. I think that's right. But that's kind of what I learned there.
Yeah, I'm gonna check this out.
Is that
That's sick.
I was inclined to be very visually gifted, because I could never really write good papers. They were always grammatically wrong or anyway. So I early on I knew that if I wanted to get a point across, if I wanted to show something to somebody, or if I wanted to address the topic, I had to do it in a visual way. And that's really think about back in the Middle Ages or anything, people couldn't read back then. They were like all they knew was if you showed them a painting or a visual image that kind of described something, they could understand that better than you telling them.
Yes.
So that's kind of what I picked out going there. And from then on, I went to Chapin for maybe in like my last 2 years. I wanted to get out of this school, because I felt like it had taught me all that I needed to be taught, and then I wanted to be on the same level as everybody else that was going to public school, because two different teaching styles.
Yes.
And then while I was at Chapin, I started off doing the broadcasting club, helping out with the announcements, which was all right for the time. But after school, I really started making these videos with my friends. My parents bought me a Sony Handycam recorder, which now it's not as great of a camera as you can use. But it was just something to get me started, and I bought a green screen and some lights.
For your own place?
For my own place.
That's so sick. Did you play around with that?
Yeah, I set it up in the kitchen in my house, and I just started making YouTube videos. And
what was your YouTube channel name when you made it?
Dove Eye Films.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
So it was
yeah.
actually like it was actually professional back then too.
Yeah. So we focused on. I started doing kind of like more visual effects, heavy things. So I did a couple films where we did like a Harry Potter themed one, and we did somebody getting hit by a car, and car explosions and everything like that. That's
so cool.
It was very fun things. It wasn't like we had a set story or idea. It was just like, oh, let's try and do this visual effect thing.
Yeah.
And
that's before all these like simple effects you can do on your phone now.
Right.
Yeah,
so that was kind of the start of everything. And I actually took my portfolio, and they had they kind of had like the school that I go to now, that I'm soon to be graduating with a SCAD. They came into town, and they had somebody talk to me, and they viewed my portfolio. I had done some graphic design work, and I showed them my videos, and they were actually more impressed by my graphic design than my videos. But I ultimately got a scholarship there for a little bit of money, and I've been working there ever since. And I feel like I've been so blessed to be in Savannah and to be there around that industry, because when you're at school, there's a lot of people that are having different professions that they want to go into, but there's so many different people that are doing so many different things that it's not just one thing. Everybody wants to be either they want to be the cinematographer or the producer or the director. Or
the big names. Like everyone wants to be the quarterback or a star player on the basketball team, but there's a lot of supporting roles that are just as important.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of the jobs that I did weren't like it wasn't what I wanted to do specifically, but just because I wanted to work in film, I took the roles. So. And I feel like you're never gonna have exactly the role you want to have, but I feel like if I do anything on a film set, I'm happy. Just because I'm on set, I'm where the action is. It's not like in a cubicle or anything like that and just typing away. It's like I'm in the field and I'm doing what I love, and that's really what I want to do. But there's so many people there that are so invested into making films and making different things that it's very easy for you to hop on a project to do something. And there's forums that you can get onto that people are constantly posting crew calls and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And it's a very collaborative environment that people are just making all these great films. And it's really preparing them to go into the world and actually do this professionally. But I would suggest that it's even harder after you get out of school to find those people, because when you're there learning and getting your degree, everybody's there trying to do the same thing.
Yep.
But it's just, I feel like the network there was more beneficial to even anything that I ever had here.
Oh yeah.
I never really found that here, but there's so much of it there, and the best thing that I kind of like is when somebody comes up to you and they say, hey, would you help me on this project, or have this position on my team, and it's like okay, somebody is invested in me enough that they believe in me to help them on their film in any way. And I feel a lot more blessed when somebody approaches me to do something than I do when I'm chasing after it myself, because it's something that people are offering to you, and you don't have to take it away from other people.
Yeah, it's a little bit more vulnerable, being like, hey, can I get your help? Always asking for help is very vulnerable.
Yeah.
But it's also very empowering for the person that you ask help for.
Yeah.
I struggle with that too. No, I feel you.
So I've learned a lot there. I've learned before I went there, I didn't know how to write a story. I didn't know how film sets went. I didn't know what equipment was or anything like that. I feel like every single thing that I've been taught there has really equipped me to be a better person and a better filmmaker overall. And just putting me on these sets, or preparing me for larger sets that I might be on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
That was a lot of information you threw my way. You mentioned story and stuff. You learned a lot about story. What's something big that's something I'm trying to learn right now. I've been reading stuff about it and playing around with it myself. And with this podcast, I want to help deliver people's stories a little bit better. What's something that I've seen a little bit clips of what you've done. I haven't been able to find the full projects yet. Yeah. But dude, I'm interested. What kind of stories? What did you learn about story?
Well, I usually pick stories that I can make some type of social comment on, or address some type of issue. There has to be like, there doesn't always have to be like a moral reason for me to make a film, but I feel like each film does have to have a lesson that's learned, because when we watch movies, when we go to the theaters and we see something, or when we read a book or anything like that, we see like often a hero in the story, often in the stories, and they're overcoming these like magical or like tough like challenges, and you look at that and you're like, well, I'm not like fighting a demon or overcoming a dragon or a monster, but I can take what I see in that film and say, okay, well, I have challenges in my own life, and I can also overcome these things. So I feel like stories are kind of brought out of these darker, like difficult moments in our lives, because when we're faced with something that we have to overcome, it gives us more tenacity to just okay, I overcame that thing, so that can overcome the next thing. Yep. So that's kind of how I believe what stories are here to teach us, and they've taught us a lot of different stories, different formats and everything. The main format for most all movies is the hero's journey, outlined by Joseph Campbell, and they really try and drill that into us. But even when I'm watching a movie, I can say, okay, this is what's going to happen next, and like
you can kind of predict it a little bit.
A little bit. So if it's really formulaic, I can just even halfway through the movie, I'm like, this is what's about to happen in the next thing. So I guess I might not be the best person to
watch a movie with. You're over here like whispering like, watch this, he's about to get stabbed. I told you. Yeah.
So
I'm that same way. I try to predict endings so many times.
I criticize everything, but then at the end, I'm just like, everybody stands up and gets out of the theater. I'm just there clapping. I'm like, I pick out somebody's name on the list, because you're the only person that
you're like, I know that you recognize their name.
Only them, their folks, and that person are gonna be like that credit's up there. But that is somebody in like hundreds of people that are on a film that's just that small role that still made the overall film. Yeah. And there's.
Dude, has there been a film that you've really liked the story with lately, like that came out that you've been like impressed with?
Yeah. I have been going to the movie theaters a little bit, but I guess if overall, like if you were asking me like my favorite movies thus far, the ones that I relate to the most, it's got to be Good Will Hunting or Wreck-It Ralph, which is an animation.
The most recent Wreck-It Ralph?
Yeah, okay. I really enjoyed Wreck-It Ralph, but I feel like Disney and the animators, they do so well. They really invest in, like, you really feel like something after watching the movie, which is what movies are supposed to do. But like, I feel like they just set the bar for like this emotional tone that they just know how to like grab your heartstrings and just
there's just oh man, so many cool stories just played with either toys or fish or I don't know, all these crazy emotions. Have you ever seen Super Carlin Brothers on YouTube?
What is it?
Super Carlin Brothers. They do a lot of stuff about Pixar and stuff like that. I think you would love it, because like, I don't know, if you're a big Pixar fan and like DreamWorks and all that, they do like cover those cool things. And I don't know, I like people that dive into like the theories behind things or small little motifs behind stuff, like Nerd Writer was. It does a great job.
Well, I think that we're at a point where the film audiences need to be educated a little bit more, because the more educated film the more educated the film audience is, the better the films that are coming out in theaters are going to be for people. Yep. So I feel like the bar has been lowered a little bit in some sense to films, but you can tell the difference between a film and a movie, which a movie is just like something to earn money a little bit, and like a film is like a really artistic piece that like people are really trying to say something with, you know? Yeah.
Like Get Out was. Like it was a very. Have you seen Get Out yet?
No, I haven't.
Dude, you actually might like it. It was actually a pretty good story. The story with it was really good. I think you like when you were talking about you mentioned something earlier and it really brought it to my mind. So I was like, you got to see it. Do you have any favorite directors or producers or writers in the film industry?
Not really. There's so many, but I feel like I try and learn from all of them.
Do you have like a top 3 or top 5 that you could shout out? Well, I'm a big fan of. Now, of course, I forgot his name. The guy that did Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah,
and,
Quentin Tarantino.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Gosh,
Quentin Tarantino's good. He knows how to write really good dialogue as well as really good stories. And what he tries to do is instead of the film following an act 1, act 2, act 3 sequence where everything's linearly, he's tried to make films like you read books where everything's out of place and you don't see everything in order, which is really cool because that's kind of like a staple of his brand and what he does. But I guess that could be one, Mark Scorsese too.
Oh yeah.
I feel every single time I pick a director, I feel like it's just like everybody picks those directors. Yeah. So I really can't say just those two or anything like that. I've got to look at everybody.
Just so many.
Figure out what they're doing and what's making them.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned earlier you were diagnosed with dyslexia and ADHD, or ADHD, yeah. What age were you diagnosed at, or did they?
Very young.
Elementary school?
Yeah.
Dude, that's
around
early.
there. Yeah, and that was just kind of how I grew up, is just going to doctors and stuff like that about it, and figuring out like what's the best pathway for me to go with that. And you kind of what you do is you take your weaknesses and you turn them into your strengths, and that's really what I did with that. So I really do feel like doing things artistically and visually, all that gift that I have is because I have dyslexia or ADHD.
Oh
Yeah.
How'd you find out that you had these things? Because you're a young kid, no one's gonna be able to see through your eyes.
When you're really hyper and you're kind of struggling with classwork and your grammar, your spelling is really like throwing people off or anything like that. It's that's kind of some telltale signs. But I knew in high school that I wanted to be a filmmaker, and that's why I started making films. But I didn't really find the industry here that I hoped for. That's not to say that there isn't any industry in South Carolina or in Columbia. I feel like different places are better for different things.
Yeah.
Definitely South Carolina, it doesn't really offer many incentives for films to be made here.
No, not really.
And South Carolina isn't going to go out of their way to bring people into the state for revenue off of films. But if a film wants to come here and they want to shoot here, South Carolina's going to welcome it.
They are. Okay.
But I feel like there's not really an industry of people that are here, located here, that are available to just drop what they're doing and kind of get on these projects. And the projects that do come into town are kind of it's very sparingly. But there are people here that are making films. They are making commercials. There's there is companies here that are really good, and they're handling the demand that is there to make commercials or TV shows and stuff like that. I'm not really a spokesman for them or a representative of them, but there are a few of them.
Have you worked with any of them?
Yeah, I worked with Genesis Studios for about 4 months from 2015, November of 2015 to I think it was February of 2016.
What project was this for?
Genesis Studios is a production company in Casey, South Carolina, and it's run by Cliff Springs, which is a really great guy. And I just kind of spent a little bit of time there working on the commercials that they were working on. They have a theater in their office space, a couple sound stages, and they're really handling a lot of the commercials that are needed, in Columbia. There's also Omni Splash Media in Lexington. Actually visited them the other day, and they have a entire office space that's in the top of an old textile building, and they're doing a lot of their commercials out of the office, but they still have an office for post-production and stuff like that. But and there's others. There is a demand for film for videos to be
it's
made,
huge.
and they're making enough to keep the companies going. Probably a lot more than that.
Yeah.
So there are good people here that are in the film industry.
Yeah.
It's different in Savannah. That we have people coming into town each month that there's films, there's productions, there's union shows, and all these people that are studying at SCAD, they're being trained to get onto these projects.
Yeah.
And it is difficult to get on these projects, even if you're looking for a below the line job, or even the lowest job, which is probably a production assistant. Either you have to be lucky that they pick you for that opportunity, or you have to know somebody that's already on the set, which kind of as it is always. But there's been a lot of films that have been and TV shows that are coming to Savannah, and a lot of they had Underground, which is a TV show. Was filmed there. The SpongeBob movie was filmed there. I remember they closed down Broughton Street down there, and they had this giant Davy Jones ship going through the streets, and it was like
some nostalgia there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they also did Baywatch there a little bit.
Were you in Baywatch?
I wasn't.
Oh, okay. They messed up. They casted The Rock instead of you. That's what it was. Or Zac Efron. You would have taken them.
Yeah. But there are a lot of films and TV shows that are coming into Savannah, and there's not only that, but there's I wouldn't say that there's a lot of production companies in Savannah. It's mostly like just gig jobs.
Yeah.
But that's the two differences that are between the states. But Georgia definitely, I feel like, is coming to the.
Oh, they're huge.
Yeah,
because isn't Marvel Studios in there too in Georgia? I think
they actually
they're opening.
They filmed Ant-Man and Spider-Man: Homecoming and Baby Driver and a couple of other films in Atlanta. And I feel like Georgia is becoming the film capital of the East Coast, really. Yep. And it wasn't like that for the longest time, but now things are changing. A lot of people are seeing that California is they're not offering as good tax incentives as Georgia is. Yeah. They're losing productions that are coming over to the East Coast because it's more they save more money filming over on the East Coast. Actually,
I hear a lot of projects are also in North Carolina too. Like we're right in between those two. And just barely missing it.
Yeah, Magic Mike XXL, that filmed in Savannah. Dirty Grandpa, filmed in Savannah. The Do Over, that was on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Adam Sandler, that filmed in Savannah. The Birth of the Nation, that was also an independent film that got picked up by a larger production company. And overall, Georgia is ranking #1 in film production in 2016. Yeah. But it's still overall with TVs and films. Georgia's really third in line behind New York and LA. So there's still a little bit of competition that is between all these states. But I feel like finally, on the East Coast, we're starting to see the film business come over here. So that too, and the main reason for that is. Qualifying productions receive a 20% tax credit for all productions that are coming to Georgia. And if you include the Georgia Peach logo in the credits of your film or TV show, that's another 10.
Genius.
Yeah, that's another 10% that companies can get back. So really, there's 30% tax incentives that a film crew can save money on by just filming in Georgia. So that's why everybody's just coming into Georgia. And Columbia and South Carolina really aren't offering those tax incentives, which is, if we did, we would have more productions here. We would have more people wanting to film here.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why people aren't, I don't know how you go about, legislating that they get these tax incentives. But I feel like if
or lobbying or something. Yeah.
I feel like if people did more of that, I feel like there would be even more in Columbia. But there, and also for Georgia, the economic impact of the film industry was $7.2 billion for last year, 2016. So it's I don't know. It is a cash cow.
Yeah, there's so much potential, and it's a big need with all these new platforms like Netflix and YouTube's now being paying stuff. There's Hulu. There's all these different platform, HBOs, and like all these different places that are needing more content.
I even feel like DVDs are now starting to be phased out because because I mean I feel like Redbox is still making a good amount of money. Every single time I drive by Redbox, I always see people renting.
I went there yesterday or this weekend. Yeah, so
well those films that are coming out on Redbox, you can't really get those on Netflix.
Yeah.
But so I still feel like that's going to be big for a couple more years. But I feel like it's more and more becoming an online streaming thing. Netflix and Hulu are definitely investing into developing their own brand and their own content, and I feel like that's going to be continuing over the years. I feel like more of these online services are going to start popping up. I really don't see what the future is after that, but for the time being, I feel like everybody just wants to stay in their home and turn on the television and just all the movies be right there.
Oh, I totally see that too.
Yeah.
I was wondering about that, like, how much longer are movie theaters going to stay in business? Because like with Netflix, like now, like I think it had Civil War a few months after it came out in movie theaters. Like I think it stopped showing in movie theaters, and then it slowly came out to Netflix.
Yeah.
And so if now and I even waited for Doctor Strange to come out for Netflix. Yeah. Like I didn't go see the in movie theaters because I was like, I have a big hunch that now they're going to start putting them on Netflix. And I guess like if it continues doing this, I don't even know if I'll go into theaters to see.
I think theaters will still be around for a long time. I feel like that's the main way of distribution for film companies is that they're gonna invest $50 million into making a film, and then they're hoping to get double of a return at the box office.
Yeah.
And when you go into a theater and you buy a ticket, that ticket that you buy, that's not going to the theater, that's going into the pockets of the people that made the film.
Okay.
The only way that theaters really stay in business is the concession stands, because that's what the theaters selling to make their money back and make their return back.
I have seen theaters upgrade their like concessions a lot these days.
when you go into a movie theater and it costs like $30 for popcorn and a drink, there's a reason for that.
Oh, okay, that makes so much more sense. Yeah, for 5 cents of popcorn.
Yeah.
And yeah. I was about to say, because now I see them, they're selling alcohol these days, and they're basically selling like everything. Like you probably buy a new TV these days in there, but it's huge. Where do you see the film industry kind of evolving with big like cinematic TV shows? Like there's long-running TV series now that they're releasing. How is that comparing to, what do you think, to movies?
I think the superhero like phenomenon is really going to continue for years. They've got
the cinematic universes.
They've got so many plans for these movies that Marvel has all the movies that are coming out are intertwined in some larger plan that is for like a final movie or something like that.
Yeah. I don't even know how it's going to end. I can't even imagine that.
I don't even know how they do that, where they plan out. Like these 20 years that we're going to make these movies that are going to tie into something that we make years later. I don't really know how they plan that out, but DC really isn't doing that. It's mostly Marvel that's coming out with all these movies, but Wonder Woman did do very well at the box office.
Crushed and killing Rotten Tomatoes and all that. Like it's super high. I might even go see that this weekend.
People really dig a female hero.
The first one that actually kind of like did good. It rocked. With and then now M. Night Shyamalan is kind of doing a little similar because he's bringing back
Unbroken.
Unbroken.
Yeah.
Do you know M. Night Shyamalan's movies? You watch his movies?
Unbroken's a really good comic movie. Yeah, I think they're gonna make a second one.
Yeah, did you see Split?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, no, actually not Split.
Ooh.
But I do need to.
You need to check it out. Oh man, you'll like it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It ties in, but I'm not gonna tell you why, but it ties in.
Okay.
But yeah, you gotta see that. And then they're trying to make a dark universe with like the Mummy and Frankenstein and the Invisible Man. Like Johnny Depp's gonna play like the Invisible Man in the movie, and Johnny Depp will definitely sell some tickets.
Amazing.
Yeah. and then they try to make Pirates of the Caribbean 5, but that flopped.
I did see Pirates of the Caribbean.
Did the latest one?
It was good. But the whole entire time it was very formula driven.
Oh, like you really could just tell.
Yeah.
That bothers me so much.
Yeah.
That's why I even like what. Yeah.
But I feel like there's different ways to write a story or write a movie. I feel like the most common thing is the hero's journey, but there's also like the hero of the absurd, where you have like a story that's kind of like it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's just an absurd story.
Yeah.
And then there's also the tragic hero story or something like that, which is kind of like an anti-hero or something like that. So there are different stories that are different ways to write a story, and not everyone is perfect, you know.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
When you said anti-hero story, you're talking about like Breaking Bad anti-hero or Dexter?
Yeah, Dexter could be considered an anti-hero or Breaking Bad.
Yeah, and there's obviously like Deadpool. Who
Yeah.
literally is an anti-hero.
Very much an anti-hero. And what I love about Deadpool is there's a lot of meta humor in it. It's making fun of itself in the sense that it's another superhero movie, and there's so many like moths or things that they have to touch on that even in the trailer they're making fun of Logan, the movie, like the movie poster was in the background, and like he's changing in the booth so that he can save this old man that's in the alleyway, and the old man eventually gets shot, and he's just like
spoiler. Because you change like a normal person would change in a phone booth, not a Superman who's going to like super speed. So yeah, like that was awesome. Like you kind of brought it into reality.
Yeah.
With movies and stuff, have you done anything for TV, or you thought about doing anything for TV potentially?
The first union show I worked on, which I was very proud of, and when I got on it, it was almost like a dream come true, because it was just like I've been waiting so long to actually be on a set that's either one of the TV shows, these movies. But I worked for 2 days on American Grit in Riceboro.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was it just premiered a while ago. That's the one with John Cena.
Yeah.
And the first day I was just a grip, and I helped out a little bit on that. And the next day they wanted me to be an electrician, so they kind of showed me the ropes, and I worked a little bit on that. Which is kind of my first union working day that I have under my belt. The thing about unions is that to get on a union project, you have to be in the union. But to be in the union, you have to have like either 60 or 90 working days to then get into the union, and then you also have to be brought in by somebody that's already there, like a recommendation or something like that.
Interesting.
So it's very like a catch-22. It's like it's very difficult to
chicken and the egg, like which comes first?
Yeah.
Like, how do you
exactly?
Yeah, like how do you get in the union without? How do you work for the union when you can't work for the union without being in the union?
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess they just do that just because like it's a little club or whatever. Yeah. It's just a niche market. They want to make sure that everybody that's working on these films is professional and everything that they need. But I don't feel like you have to be on these union shows to do film work. You can, I mean, you can work for a production company. You can, work on these indie films and that are still offering, pay or stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So there's different ways to make a living, and I don't feel like one thing is better than the other. I feel like it's all all different. Some people prefer, these smaller projects that are a little bit more intimate, and you get to know people a little bit better than these large scale productions that have hundreds of people on them, and your role is kind of a little bit diminished. But I guess, yeah.
Dude, yeah. With it being a grip on grit, what'd you have to do? I feel like there's a lot of heavy moving.
Yeah, well, they had
a lot of setup.
They had a lot of equipment, and what I had to do was I had to watch over the equipment, move equipment to different places around the set. If somebody needed me to fly something in, I would have to bring them whatever they requested. They had us on walkie-talkies, so we would specifically be on the grip channel, and people would tune in to us and tell us what to do basically. But they had different places for all the equipment that were color coded.
Okay.
And if something was on the other side of the course, you would have to bring it to the other place. So that was a lot of what the first day was, and it was a lot of watching and a lot of learning, and also just talking to the people about how things go. Mm-hmm. And the next day, they changed me to an electrician. So I was helping set up like silk, a flag bag silks with a gobo arm and a C-stand. So I was kind of helping the lighting department in a little ways. They had a house on this big like lot of land. It was kind of like it was a huge area in Riceboro that was just lots and lots of land. Mm-hmm. And they had different courses set up and everything like that. And there was different areas that they were doing the drills in, and basically just helping out in any way I can and learning a little bit. The one thing that they did say a lot, and they did talk about a lot, is that if you are in the film industry, the downside of it is they kept talking about they didn't have a lot of time for family, and that they wish that was something that they could really be a part of, because they were just saying you're constantly going to different projects. It's at a gig by gig basis, because if you work for maybe 2 or 3 months on this one project and then it finishes, well, either you get hired by another project or you're in kind of like hiatus until you get another project. Yeah. And you're not always guaranteed to get on another project. It's still like almost at a recommendation thing. It's not like they take your resume or anything. It's more like this person did well on this set, so we should hire him for this set. Yep. So kind of like that. But it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. It was so cool. And then just to then after that go on and make my own film, that was also a blessing, because not a lot of people have opportunities like that to get stuff like that done. So it really meant a lot to me, all of that.
With being a director and on that side of the camera, what does it feel like being the director? Like, what responsibilities does the director have, would you say? Like,
I feel like what I enjoy most about working as a producer or director is that it's really the main creative force that's driving the project to completion.
You're the vision.
So yeah, a little bit of that too. But I feel like when you bring people onto the team, and you have a vision for how things are going to go. Yeah. They also have an idea of what they want the film to be. My costume designer, like Andrea Lopez, I got to give a shout out to her. She did an amazing job on just making these costumes that really brought out the characters. And definitely have to give a shout out to my cinematographer, Nars. He's actually the founder of Indie Thieves, and he did a phenomenal job shooting the thing. I couldn't make it look as beautiful as he actually made it. And I feel like all these people, they just even you have this one vision of what it's going to be, but they all have a vision for their own department and their own specialty. And I feel like they make it just as much as you making it. So it's a group effort. It's not just one person that gets it all done, you know.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I feel like directors can't get all the credit for what they do, but they do get a lot of credit because they're the main creative force in making the decisions.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, you're making final decisions on everything. If you don't like something, you can change it in any way. But I just feel like I have a tenacity to set an expectation for this goal to be completed, and then I'm just chasing after it until it's finished. I have this, you know, tendency to just not want to, you know, let things go. I have to, like, drive it to completion. Once you're set on the mission, you have to complete the mission. So it's yeah.
You almost have to power through all those comments and questions and all that and be like, I just got to keep going, guys. There's a huge gust of wind pushing you back a little bit. When you were close to completing the project, how did you, or as you completed the project, how were you feeling? Were you like, oh no, or were you like, because when you're making a creative project, it's and especially with so much influence everyone else, it changes a little bit, and your emotions probably going through craziness.
Yeah, once I saw, like, the footage, just the dailies, I was like, this is gonna be amazing.
Sweet.
I called up my editor and I was like, you're gonna have a phenomenal time editing this because there's so much footage.
Oh, that's awesome feeling, dude.
Yeah, and I felt great about it until I showed a rough cut in my senior class, and then all my peers tore it to pieces again. But then I was like, this time I thought I had like the best thing.
You're like, I'm gonna blow their socks off.
Yeah. But I feel like everybody gets criticized, and there's always something that changes. And I feel like having that those critiques in class make you a better person because you don't have a lot of opportunities for people to criticize it outside of the classroom. So I feel like it really is a blessing for that to happen.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. And the biggest thing I think we have, like, learning when you're trying to make a creative project, is learning which criticisms or which critiques you need to actually listen to and critique, or listen ones you need to be like, okay, like, I don't necessarily need to change that because that changes the integrity of the thing.
Right.
Like, how are you able to defer between those? Like, what have you done to help prevent that from affecting your true vision?
Okay, well, we did get a rough cut done, and then after we had the first rough cut done, we kind of we looked back at our video storyboards and compared everything, and we tried to kind of duplicate some of the things that we did right in the video storyboard with the opening scene, and then based on, you know, criticism, we changed a couple things and we added things, and we just tried to keep it doing better and better. There still are things that we have to do. We have to, you know, do pickup shots, and pickup shots are like shots that you didn't get on the day that you filmed. So some of those were like, we didn't have establishing shots of the locations, so we have to go back and shoot those and then put that into the film. But there's so much that we're going to do in this film with sound to
Interesting.
to bring it to life. I feel like my sound designer, Ryan Sullivan, I have so much confidence in him, and that he's going to do such a great job. He's a really great guy. And one of the things that we had difficulty with is that we couldn't drive any of the cars, or we couldn't move any of the cars in the scene.
Why? Was
because
it the equipment, or
it's like a liability reason at the school. If an actor is driving a car and he crashes the car, then that's not gonna be good. So it was either do it with sound or hire a stunt driver for like $500 or $600. And we were like, we don't have the budget for that. So ultimately, what we're gonna do is for cars entering and exiting scenes and different things that need to be shown, we'll use audio to really bring out the film. Because if people see like a bad picture and it has incredible sound, well, they're more easily to be less skeptical of the film and harsh with the film than if it's a great film shot with terrible audio. Because audio is really an important thing for people. That goes back to like the sensory things that I was talking about. And Yeah, so I feel like it's only going to get better from here in post-production. But yeah.
Okay, word. With what kind of sounds are y'all looking for? Like, you just talking about like just the sound effects, like maybe like a car starting, or are you talking about like the music behind it, like the...
That too. We do have a composer that's going to be working on the music of it, but just adding sound effects to it is just anything that that really needs to be emphasized in the film.
Okay.
Which I feel like if you watch like a Star Wars film and it's like they're in space and there's fighter pilots and you hear like the ships shooting and you hear explosions and all. There's so much audio that goes into just that scene. Something that what's the name? One thing that I did learn from a director is if you cut off all the audio and you just watch the film without any audio and you still understand what's happening, that's what a great film is. Because like you won't if you have to have all the audio on and watch the film and you still don't understand what's going on, it's
There's no, yeah.
Yeah, like films are more visually than they are
Audibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've even seen like...
I don't know if I'm making much sense there.
No, you're totally, yeah, you're totally. Yeah. But also, like, it's kind of cool. Like, I've seen videos of different actors kind of like, I guess, redoing certain lines or redoing certain scenes, like just in an audio booth, just to make sure that gives a good effect. Like, I've seen Hugh Jackman do a Wolverine scene.
Right.
You talking about the one from Logan?
Yeah, that's all.
Was intense.
That's
yeah.
all ADR. ADR is additional digital recording. So all that they shot in that forest scene, they didn't do any sound effects for that, and all the like him making all those noises as he goes through this forest. That's all done to add on to the visual style of the film.
Oh yeah,
it's really important.
Have you seen Logan yet? I've not seen it.
Yeah,
oh,
it was amazing.
It really good, man.
Yeah, it was really good.
I'm glad you're here. You're able to watch every movie I haven't seen, and then vice versa. Are you into like the Marvel universe or the DC universe?
Yeah, I do love a good superhero movie. I feel like that's gonna be the standard for a couple of years now. Not more than that. It's gonna go on for a while. But I feel like it's gonna get to a point that they're gonna make so many superhero movies that it's gonna do what westerns did. That people made so many western movies, like it just phased out.
People killed the genre.
They killed the genre. Yeah, and I feel like the same thing's gonna go to superhero films. I feel like people maybe. I have faith in what they're doing. I think that it will bring in a lot of money to the studios, and they're just going to keep making them until there's basically no more money to be made.
Yep.
Then they're going to invent another genre. I feel like that's why I do appreciate when films come out that are not superhero films and they're really good, because sometimes I'm not in the mood to watch a superhero film because I've seen so many, but other times I'm just like, maybe I should watch this film because it's a different genre. But one great movie is Gone Girl. That was really good.
You like that one?
By David Fincher.
Okay.
It was really good. Yeah.
Well, what was that about? I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, okay. So
hook me into it. Let's see it.
Gone Girl is about, I can't describe it all, but it's about Ben Affleck stars in it, and his spouse is trying to basically kill him, and I think she goes missing for a long time in the film. It's a very psychological thriller film.
Oh, I love those. Yeah, like Shutter Island it's like my go-to for when I think of like really good films. It also has Leonardo DiCaprio, and he's like flawless. With one thing I'm really excited about with like the superhero movies and stuff like that is that I think they're actually trying to branch out sort of creative genres, because like I hear they're making a Venom movie which is based on like Spider-Man's one of his foes, which is like a black Spider-Man with Venom, and or like he's a symbiote, but people, I don't know, that's how I usually refer to him. But they're gonna make it like a scary movie. Like it's supposed to be like it's like a superhero movie. It's a horror movie that has just like superhero-ish characters.
Kind of like Suicide Squad?
Yeah, but hopefully better, because I was a little disappointed with the story.
Yeah.
I love seeing the characters, like, oh, this is so cool seeing all these people, but...
There was... what I know about Suicide Squad is that they had a lot of footage that didn't make it into the into the final cut, and that it was a little bit messed up by studio executives that just kind of wanted to have their hand in making it a little bit, and also in the editing room, I feel like a lot of things were thrown out that could have been better, because there was so much footage of Jared Leto's Joker that he was kind of led on to think that he had a larger role than he really did, and they could have made a film just with all the shots that they had of him in there, but I guess just they just decided to cut out some of that in the film. But yeah.
But I say, like, when I watched that movie, it seemed like the first half of the movie and the second half of the movie just didn't, like, the first half of the movie was very colorful and creative. The second half of the movie kind of went just, like, I guess just story mode and just I don't know, just toned it down and didn't really make any sort of threat viable. It's just really kind of, I don't know, not really exciting, not really on your toes. And the twist didn't really, a lot of people I talked to didn't understand how the twists work and all that. But yeah, I was a little disappointed, but I loved seeing the characters, and I'm really hoping they, like, because Batman is my favorite character of all time. Do you have a favorite character? No, none of those guys. But with all these new movies and new things coming out, there's even like, do you have any big Netflix shows that you watch? Or Netflix series? Because like that, they just release things now, like whole series now, like 12 episodes, and that's way longer than any sort of like limit that a movie sort of has. Like I've heard the longest being like 3.5 hours.
Right.
Now they're releasing 8 hour-long episodes at least, 12 to 8.
I don't watch a lot of movies on Netflix because I might not have the time.
That's true.
If I do have the time to sit down and watch a movie, it has to be one that I'm really invested in, that I can kind of like study and watch. Because like I feel like when I watch films, I don't just watch it for the entertainment of it. I'm watching it to appreciate the art form of it.
Yes.
So a lot of TV shows I do watch. I'm actually starting to get into live PD. Really well. It's on A&E, and they've actually got film.
They're doing so good. Too much good TV.
Yeah, they've got film crews here in Richland County and then Greenville.
Oh, sweet.
I don't really know what their setup is, but I mean, like usually when you watch, you can see the people filming it. They've usually are holding a Steadicam with a huge camera on it. I'm trying to figure out how are they getting in and out of cars with that, and then going around the what's happening with the police with that equipment, like in that dangerous situation. I mean, like somebody could shoot or something.
Yeah, someone's brave just walking around there. Yeah.
So I feel like that can be a little dangerous, but I feel like it's, I don't know, that is one thing that's filming here that's kind of cool to see.
It's worth the story, I guess, for them. Yeah. People are apparently watching it, so it's apparently worth the story.
Yeah.
And it's summertime now, right. And so what's your plans for the summer? Like, you graduated, right?
Almost.
You have another semester or two?
I go back on the 19th, which is Monday, and or probably when you hear this, it won't be Monday. But I'll go back for 10 weeks. I'll finish off my senior 3 class, which is the last class that I have to have, and during that 10 weeks, I'll be preparing my resume, my cover letter, my demo reel of all my work, and I'll be sending it out to companies and just basically researching companies that I want to potentially work for right now and hope for the best. But plan is to have a job by the time I get out of college. And they already had graduation actually this spring.
Okay.
They only have it once a year. So I'll get my diploma. I'll go off and work full time, and then I'll probably come back next spring and walk across the stage, which is kind of gonna be good. So
what job position are you trying to look for?
I'm not really being picky right now.
Yeah.
I'm not really looking for anything specifically. Just if it's film work, and if any role that needs to be filled, I'm willing to go after it, and I'm willing to work my way up and do good in the industry in any way that I can. But basically, just if anybody comes to me and says hey, we need this and this, I'll be like, all right,
I'll do it.
I know one of my friends is he actually had to back out of making his thesis film, and he's going to be making his this summer. So I'm going to be first ADing on his film, which the first AD is kind of like first AD basically like.
Is that stand-in?
No, it's below the line. They kind of supervise the crew and the crew and the cast. They're kind of in charge of the set. If the director needs to tell something to the the crew members or anything like that, he's not going to yell at them or have to be bothered with that. He'll go to the first AD, and the first AD will tell the people for him.
It handles internal affairs, basically.
Yeah, basically. And then also not only that, but first AD keeps the film on track. If you have to get 4 shots and you only have like an hour, you need to make sure that the setup time and the shooting time is allowed for that time frame, so that you don't run over time. Because if you have like 20 shots to get in a day or 30 shots to get in a day, you have to make sure that you're going to have enough time for that and not run over your time. So it's a little bit of organization and management, but it's we kind of call it like the most beloved and the most hated job on set, because it's like you can't be friendly. Well, you can be friendly as a first AD, but it's kind of like a management position almost.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do enjoy a little bit of that because I am a little bit organized when it comes to making a film as a director as well, and those organization skills transfer to other positions and stuff like that. But yeah, I've done a lot of positions, and I really do think that being a producer or director is really where my specialty is. But I'm not afraid to take on other roles and do other things to help the film crew out.
Okay.
And yeah, just like we said, it wasn't. You're never gonna always have that job or anything like that. You're always gonna have you're gonna have to have different hats on to work in the industry and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So it's very good when you can do multiple things.
Yeah, especially I'm sure being a boss of any sort of company, it's very important to have some sort of idea of what the people who you're overseeing, all the jobs that they have to do, or sort of understanding a little bit of what they have to do. So being like, I'm assuming that your main goal is to be a director one day.
Yeah.
And working your way up to be a director, trying to having your hand in a little bit of all these different jobs, probably pay a little bit of help.
I'm doing it a little bit now. I'm making my own films. I'm investing money into making different things. I'm taking on small projects and other things that I can really build my reel for. A lot of the projects that I do work on are just people say, hey, we're shooting this, we need a person to fill the director role, would you help us out for this weekend? And I'll be like great, I'd love to do that. I don't know if I'll be able to do that professionally, with pay, but as long as I can do it, in any form, that would be great. But yeah.
When did you know you wanted to be a director?
I don't know. I always felt like I had a really good specialty for just keeping everything organized and making sure that everything just gets to completion. And I really love the idea of just working with people. And I can't, like I said, like the CEO at the company or whatever like that is nothing without the people that are like in the company help like working, those people that are in other positions make him for who he is. And like same thing for him. He kind of it's like a give and take thing. It's not like there's one quote. There's no superiority to being superior to your fellow man or something like that. There's it meaning I probably butchered that quote, but like the whole thing of it is like there's nothing good about being superior to other people in any way.
Oh yeah.
It's like everybody's. I feel like the role of life is just to help as many people as you can, and I mean, you're not going to get anywhere if you don't help other people. Because like I feel like it's all about like this person got to where he got because these people helped them. Those people got to where they were because people helped them. Like, nobody does it on their own. I feel like that's just kind of what the film business is about. Is just helping people in any form and fashion. I feel like, yeah.
Oh yeah, and it's always hard to ask for help, but it's the biggest thing that propels you forward.
Right.
Is the community. It's the symbiotic relationship that we all have with each other to help push each other through.
Yeah.
So with directing, is there a major at SCAD, or is there a focus somehow with directing, or just film?
It's just a film and television.
Okay, how does SCAD actually work? I'm so I've never been to an art school.
Right.
It's a college of Savannah's College of Art and Design.
Right.
Okay. And how does that even work?
The whole school is just artists and artists in every sense. There's fashion designers.
You probably see the most craziest people.
Yeah, well,
because there's crazy people. I went to Clemson, and there's of course there's very creative people, and there's an arts program, but I can't imagine.
It's a very different atmosphere than anything I've experienced. There's 10,000 people just at SCAD, and they're all trying to make artwork. And you go into every single classroom, and even as a freshman, I was like, oh, I know everything. And then a week later in freshman year, I'm like, I do not know anything. I was like, because there was so many people that you have your foundations, which are basically you have to do painting and drawing classes, and there's specific credits that you have to get for that. So basically everybody does painting and drawing in some sense. There's still life classes where people will come in and they'll model nude and you have to draw them and everything like that. And it's just everybody's just, you look around and you're surrounded by talent everywhere, and you're constantly thinking am I good enough for what it is. So
that's a constant.
But I don't feel like there's a little bit of, I feel like there's a little bit of competition, but I feel like there's so many people that are just gifted in any ways. There's graphic designers, there's animators, there's game designers, there's VFX people, there's filmmakers. There's so many different people there just doing different things, and there's also engineers that are doing they're creating different products that'll be in people's homes and stuff like that. And there's just every single day you get to go to work there, and just you feel everybody, that there's this communal sense of just wanting to make something that impacts people. One of the things that I have on my wall is that people make art, and art changes people. So I feel like there's so many people that are just trying to change the world in some sense by just creating something beautiful from their hearts or something like that. And that's really what kind of drew me into just being an artist, is because you're making something for somebody else to have pleasure in, to just I don't know, it's different from anything else. It's just
that's so cool. Yeah. Because I don't know, deep down I think a lot of us have this creative voice, and us yelling to get out and stuff like that, and it's really cool once you find a channel or a platform to kind of vocalize that or visualize that, kind of make it into a reality and stuff like that. Was that kind of how you felt? You felt a release when you started to be able to make these projects and put them out there? Or
yeah, I feel like in a sense making artwork or making films is kind of the way I deal with handling things a little bit. Is if I have something that I'm kind of stuck on, or some lesson that I need to learn, that I need to step back and see what happened in this moment in my life to want to make it.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that really impacts me a little bit.
Oh, that's so cool. With how does go ahead?
Yeah, because there's really an emotional thing when it comes to creating artworks. In some sense.
How vulnerable do you feel when you make a film? Because I know I do music and stuff like that, so I feel a little bit vulnerable because I feel it's a little bit by myself. But
yeah,
it's a big design. How vulnerable do you feel when you make a?
That's a good question. I will be honest. I feel like you have to be a little bit vulnerable to make some artwork. But if it's too vulnerable, I probably would write it for myself maybe it's a story. I write it for myself, and I finish the story, and I kind of read through it and analyze it, and then I'm like, okay, maybe this is what lesson I needed to learn in this moment. And then I take a step back and I say, okay, that story was just for me. And I say, and then I say, on to the next one or something like that.
Yeah.
That might be the same way with artwork. Because some artists they want to make something, but they might not want to share it.
Oh, yeah.
But if I make something specifically to address something that I want to bring awareness to, I can be a little bit vulnerable with it, but I feel like if it's a comment on that is a little bit not relating to me a little bit, it's easier for me to make a little bit.
Oh yeah, because you just have to put on that. You have to dive into that character or that mindset that would kind of relate to that.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people at SCAD that writers particularly is that they'll lock themselves in their rooms for days on end and just focus on being in this immersive world, because some people have this huge world in their minds that they construct, and they use that to write these stories, and they change it as it goes. But I feel like those people are so in depth into this fantasy world that they can craft, and they use that talent to then bring it to the screen or something like
Makes
that.
it like a Harry Potter or a Star Wars have its own universe.
That's how like people exactly like J.K. Rowling. That's what comes out of these people that are just like so focused in their internal worlds.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I'm a little bit less like that. I wouldn't say that I'm a lot like that, but I do have moments where I have to I say I want to address this or this, and I try and make a script out of it. I feel like I'm better at getting things done than I am writing. I definitely do need to grow in that department. But yeah, it's very interesting, all the people that you meet there, and it's there's not really cliques or anything like that. There's not really groups or anything like that. It's just everybody's kind of a little weird, and they're artists, and
so cool, yeah.
they're full of angst and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, just so much emotions are everywhere.
Yeah.
But also like having an art major, like I just know like my sister was a music major, and I know a few kids that were like in architecture and graphic design and stuff like Clemson and stuff like that. The amount of hours that you spend outside of the classroom and by yourself, because you have to practice your art, it's a talent, it's a skill that you have to constantly work at. How do you go to a school for that? Like that, I feel like you would probably have like, how do you have a social life outside of that? With being that the whole focus is that art.
Well, I think Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays we have off, and we don't go to school Friday, because that's kind of like designated as a work day, because there's so much work to be done that
makes sense.
You only have classes like 4 days out of the week.
Okay.
And there are times that you can have times to hang out with friends. There is that time, but you also have to be very focused and very dedicated. And a lot of these artists that are there, they have this natural inborn talent, but that's not to say that it isn't crafted in some way or taught in some way. I feel like it's a little bit of talent and a little bit of self-taught, and also just what they teach you.
Where do you go to get since you're out of school like soon? Where do you go to get outside information? Because I'm sure you've also like looked around. You talked about Nerd Writer. What else? What other sources do you get inspiration and information?
Well, from? I talk to my writer friends a lot, and I take a lot of advice from different people. But I feel like you can't write something unless you experience something. So it's not so much about always creating art, but if you have an experience that really touched you in some way, you can write about that. So it's more or less just getting out in the world and experiencing what it has to offer, doing things that in your free time that might not be anything art related. It might just be you go to the park or you go to a coffee shop and you overhear a conversation. And that maybe influences you to write a piece in some way. So I really don't think that everything just comes from, you know, an imagination mind. I feel like you have to have something that's that also inspires you in some way.
Yeah. So what do you do in your free time then?
Watch movies,
Nice,
watch more movies,
Good,
talk
yeah.
about movies. I
Come to podcasts, talk about movies.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I do talk about it so much that some people just get tired of it, but it is like what I want to do, and
That's awesome. Yeah, do it. Yeah.
But I make time to, you know, Savannah, we're roughly close to the beach, so we have a Tybee Beach is where Watch was shot, and me and my friends usually go to the beach, or we hang out at people's houses, play video games, or, you know, maybe just yeah.
I bet that was the biggest season of people failing to drown when Baywatch is in town. Oh, Zac Efron, save me! Shirtless rock, please help. Do you ever get tired of talking about movies so much yourself? Because at one point, I'm big into health and fitness and all that, but at one point I got burnt out because I was like engulfing myself with it. You still haven't reached that peak yet?
No.
That's
really,
awesome,
really
dude. That's perfect. I'm refinding my fire these days lately and stuff like that, because I'm able to expand my efforts and my endeavors and stuff like that instead of just staying so focused on one thing. How do you stay so focused? Like what? It's because there's so many distractions. There's cell phones. There's internet. And there's other things out there. There's Netflix, there's TV, there's other movies. How do you stay so focused? How are you able to? You talk about you're someone that gets stuff done. How do you get stuff done? What's your biggest?
Well, I set goals for myself.
Goals,
and
huge, yeah.
These goals can be, you know, they're not always the same each day, or well, some of them are, but. I have, you know, long-term, short-term, and really long-term goals.
Yes.
And there's some, like, for example, like one of my goals is just to at least work out each day, and just I make sure that I have something on my wall that says what have you done to reach you one step closer to your goal today. Yeah. And if I haven't worked out that day, I'll be like, I have to work out, because that's like one of the things that I want to get better at, to as a lifestyle, to eat better and to live better. That's really important as you get older. You can't just be eating, you know, McDonald's everything each day. So
it's much better to eat Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Have to stare at Chick-fil-A cup. Honestly, I'm heading that way right after this. I haven't eaten yet, so I'm starving. So where did you get your health and fitness information and stuff like that?
I just try to eat like fruits and vegetables and good stuff, and just manage things. I do have a couple things that are kind of diets that help me regulate what I eat and make sure it's just being cautious about what you're consuming, I guess, and and just to be healthy and live better, you know.
What is your goals with health and fitness?
Just to, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right now it's just to work out each day.
Just be consistent.
Be consistent in what I do. There's not like a big goal. It's just to basically change my lifestyle to be better in some way. Because it's not like something that happens just for a few days. It's like a whole lifestyle change. So it's not just like you can stop for a week or two and just like slack off. You gotta continually be chasing it every single day.
Yeah.
And those small steps lead to, you know, bigger accomplishments.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I noticed as I said the thing, I set it up to like being like a one specific goal, but you answered it perfectly, being that it's not just like an end goal, it's a daily process, something you have to adopt, a lifestyle adoption that you have to make a part of your life in order to really appreciate what it benefits to you. So what benefits have you had of it? Do you feel like you have a little bit more energy and a little bit more focus, able to spend more time working?
Yeah, I'm trying to wake up earlier and have more of the day, that because just that, you know, if you wake up early and you have so much time to, you know, enjoy the day, and just more can be accomplished if you just like use all the hours in a day than just waking up in the middle of the afternoon and being only like, oh, I wasted half the day. And then
you do that too? Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, it's so nice. You're like, oh yeah. Oh what? It's 12? What? Like what happened? Yeah. And then you feel like you've only done a little bit, and the sun's already starting to go down. You're like, no, the world.
And then you stay up all night. And
and then you repeat it over again because you have to sleep to get that energy back, but you end up only sleeping until 12. Yeah. with all that, where do you see your career going? Where do you plan on going after this? Like, you going to California? You think is that where jobs offers are at, or is it be in Atlanta?
I really have no clue. I don't really want to say this place or another place, just because I want to be open to anything and not limit myself to just one area. I feel like if you cast a broad net, it is a lot better than just being like, oh, I want to go here.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just I don't know. I'm at this point in my life, I'm really open to what adventures and experiences that'll come next, and just hoping that everything will go right, and maybe be a little bit more blessed in the things that are to come.
That's so cool. I'm actually about to head out to Colorado soon, so that's gonna be my big adventure over to Colorado. You see yourself on the West Coast any, like going to California? Because that is like right now sort of still the biggest. Well, it's the biggest, but it's big scene for.
I mean, there's like 130,000 people in Colombia right now, and then maybe like 3 million over in California. It's two different environments, and I don't think that it's necessary for filmmakers to go out to California anymore as much as it used to be, because that used to be the only place to go. I feel like a lot of things are coming to the East Coast. There's a lot of opportunities on the East Coast. You can find opportunity anywhere out there that people want to make something.
Yeah, there's a David Lockwood over on the East Coast that they need to work with. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm just wanting to see, where I get a job offer, and, whatever happens, I guess I'll have to decide which road I gotta go down.
Oh, that's so sick. And then, like, I'm gonna start wrapping this up because I don't want to take any more of your time, but because I know you have plenty of stuff to do today. I like to talk about the future a little bit. Like, where do you see the future of the film industry going? Where do you?
I feel like it's gonna come more onto the East Coast a little bit, as it's already going, just because people can make films over here for a lot cheaper than they can in California. I feel like TV shows and online content is still going to be really big in California. I feel like films are going to be more brought to the East Coast a little bit, just because of how big the budgets are and how much money they're spending. If they want to save a quick buck, they can film in Georgia. But I feel like it's not one way or the other. California has had its times where the film industry hasn't been as strong as it was.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I can speak so much for it, but definitely I think it's not just going to be limited to the West Coast anymore.
That'd be so sick to see more stuff come this way, especially since visual media is so huge. With everything with like Instagram blowing up and Facebook, that's all you have is just people reposting videos. Right. Like, that's a huge content, huge need these days. Well, as we're wrapping up again, Shadygrove is your next big project. Right. When can people expect to see this awesome piece of work?
We're going into post-production this summer.
Yep.
We'll probably finish it by this summer.
And post-production is like editing and like reshoots and
visual effects, color correction, sound effects.
Gotcha.
All that. They'll go to different people in the post-production team, and probably be ready by this fall. And
okay.
we'll have a private screening for some of the people that worked on it, just to kind of test the waters as to if we need to change things in it, or if it's good as is. And then hopefully next spring it'll premiere at the Trustees Theater in the Senior Showcase.
Yep.
So it'll be played with a lot of other senior films that people have invested time in, and it'll be on the big screen, and that's
so
probably going to be a very good accomplishment for my team and everything. So as we're wrapping up, if anybody wants to check out my website, you can go to davidcarrlockwood.com. I'm also on Instagram at davidcarrlockwood.
Yep.
I post film stuff on there all the time, and when I'm not posting film stuff, it's just a little bit less of my daily life, but I try and keep it as business as possible. But yeah, I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Georgia and South Carolina. If
Yeah.
anybody needs any help on a film or anything, I'm always here.
Dude, one of the nicest people you ever meet. So awesome guy. And thanks so much, David.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, y'all. Thank you again so much for this last episode with David Carr Lockwood. Y'all are awesome. Be sure to talk about it, share it with all the social media, all your friends and family. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day. Peace.